welcome to Bitstorm, the #1 Zimbabwe video game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy, but we obviously must know a little bit about game design, like by now.
I mean, 177?
Yeah.
We're up to?
Yeah, something like that.
You'd think we'd have picked something up in our travels.
Anyway, I'm Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger, that wonderful voice that you just heard.
Oh, yeah. That voice that you all love.
This episode's getting off to a really good start.
Shall we start with some click picture, as has been the tradition of late?
Yes. But it seems to be working. We did get to #1 in Zimbabwe on Apple Podcasts.
Briefly, yeah, I think we're still up there. So Click Picture is a game where we take a weird stock photo that we found on a Board Panda list, where you just grab a random one in a tool that I quickly whipped up, and we paste it into our Discord for the others to see. The other to see. There are only two of us. For the other to see, and we will try to turn that image into a game design. So do you have one in the chamber, Trevor Scott?
Yes, I do. Let me get that image and put it into Discord. I am typing.
Hopefully not.
I am entering.
Okay. That's fine. So we have a man with a really bad haircut, bright red lipstick, making kind of duck face, kissy face, into a phone, presumably taking some sort of selfie. A selfie-based game is interesting.
It is. Ooh. I'm liking the idea of this is VR.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if it's a game where you think that you're being stalked and you don't want to look behind you, so you use your phone sort of looking like a selfie, but you're actually looking to see if there's anything behind you.
Yeah, so I guess the question is the main game mechanic selfie-based, or is this sort of just one aspect of a game that's sort of, it's not exactly stealth-based, I guess, but it's like, don't look at someone or something. Is it a horror game where you can't look directly at someone, and so it's all done through cameras and reflections? And one of the things you have is your phone, obviously. That could be cool, actually. I like the idea of not just selfies if it's behind you, but like poking your phone around a corner, taking a picture, and then grabbing it back to see if it's there. Like having to navigate an environment basically without being able to look at this creature or whatever it is, some sort of demon.
The only way that it actually appears is it's sort of like a reverse vampire in that it only appears in reflections.
Oh, it only even appears. Oh, that'd be interesting. Oh, shit.
Because I'm just imagining you go into this hallway that is like purely matte, like there's no reflective surfaces at all. Yeah. And you're having to sneak through, and all you hear is like a low growl, because you can still hear it. Yeah.
I like having to do it by sound cues and then, like reflections and cameras. Yeah. Even just having your phone camera on and like walking down the hallway, basically having to like look back and forth between where you're going in the camera and where you're going in front of you.
But you know what's great for the trailer, because I'm just picturing that this hallway is in the trailer. Okay. And you see up in the top corner, like the battery icon starts to blink.
Yes.
As it's on low battery. Yes.
And so one of your resources is definitely having to like find a phone charger or an outlet. Yep.
And having this continuous stalking of this animal in the trailer anyway, that's what you see. But in the actual game, what happens is that when it notices that you can actually see it and you start avoiding it, that's when it takes an interest in you. Because before that, it was just sort of sneaking through and not being noticed by anyone.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like the idea of, like, I think that the creature should move fairly slowly. And so I'm almost picturing like an It Follows kind of situation.
Yeah, I was going to say It Follows.
Yeah.
And it's because in the game, this thing, it follows you.
Yeah, well, it basically slowly... But I'm just picturing it like you sort of having to maybe you've got some sort of decoding you have to do or something, or some sort of, lock pick or whatever. And so you're sort of doing some of your thing, but it's relatively close by. So you're like doing a thing and then turning around and like taking a picture and looking at a phone or something, like looking at your camera or whatever, looking at your phone. I just love the idea of like, you reach around the corner, take a picture, bring the phone back, and it's like fucking right there in your phone, like filling the entire screen of your phone, and you're just like, oh fuck. And like you can move, like you can get away from it if you then go quickly enough, but you have to like lead it off somewhere and come back to finish whatever you're doing. And yeah,
you know what tension. I want this to also be? I want this to be a family sort of curse. Maybe. Okay. That, so you get to play your grandfather or your parents back in the 1970s.
So not an STD like in Follows?
No, not an STD. I think it's a family curse. Okay. Because I so want a level in which your parents are going around with a Polaroid camera. So, they take like the photo and then they're waiting for the photo to develop for like a minute.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I love that idea of having it like either alternate back and forth, and then you go even further back. they have to take a photo, go into a dark room, wait for it to appear in the chemicals. Yeah, maybe not.
No, but I think the idea of the Polaroid,
definitely the Polaroid. Yeah,
yeah. I'm thinking maybe it's your parents are the ones who actually like unleashed this curse, so it's a rather new curse. So it's not a centuries old sort of curse.
Yeah, you could even come up with some sort of interesting story of like the Polaroid being the first instant camera. Something around like capturing souls or whatever with the camera. That whole thing of like you take a photo of someone, take a piece of their soul. That the first, being able to that quickly move, like capture the soul and view it, like somehow brought this thing into being or brought it out.
Okay. Your grandfather is actually like put it as
Joe Polaroid?
he was pretty much he was the inventor of like the photographic method or whatever in the 1930s or whatever
of instant photos or of photos in general.
Of just photos in general. And I think
that'd be further back than that, but.
Well, yeah, I think, maybe great-grandfather.
Right.
And the problem is the first photo that he ever took was of this
thing
creature.
in it.
And that's what sort of...
Okay, I see. So it's just photos in general as opposed to instant photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, though. I like that.
And maybe they didn't connect
died in mysterious
they didn't connect it until many, many years later when they got the instant photos and they actually realized that this entity is continually following them. And I'm thinking this entity is, as I said before, a reverse vampire. Only appears in reflections, only appears in photographs, but still has some sort of like interactivity with the world.
Well, I think it's almost it's up until this point it was benign, living in this like sort of overlapping dimension, right? That until photographs came about, which by the way was nearly 200 years ago, or even
cooler. You can show basically all these people going through these situations where they're like holding a hand mirror sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, so I think. Well, although I guess it depends on, because it can't be going back as far as reflections. Maybe it is literally.
No. It's just as you said before about the capturing of the soul.
Right.
Like,
yeah, okay.
Effectively, that first photo captured this entity's soul, and then so the only way to actually finish this game, and that's right, I've actually got an end to it, is you find the original photo, you tear it up, and the creature is released.
Okay, that's cool though. Yeah, I like that as an endpoint. And yeah, it is sort of exploring historically all these people who have been hunted by this thing, basically. Or it's not even hunted, it's just like. It's just trying to get its soul back.
Yeah.
It just happens
the only way it communicates is through maim and murder.
They call it maim speak.
But of course, the final thing that happens, just as the creature's about to leave, some kid takes a photo.
Oh yeah, there's no way in this fucking day and age that this thing's going to hold on to its soul for very long.
Yeah. And I think that's just an awesome way to sort of click out. And it's like, just as it's sort of leaving, bang, you almost see like a photography flash.
Yeah.
And that's where the game ends.
It flashes to white and then fades to black or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, because you're watching it go, like in a reflection, not a camera, but like in a mirror or something. You're watching it leave, and then you see something, some flash go off. That's cool. I like that a lot. That's awesome. All right, shall we move over to Click Pitch?
Yes.
Do you want to explain it since I explained Click Pitcher?
Yes, Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us. On the count of 3, 2, 1, click. We click refresh. We take these words, we throw them at each other. We make a game baby. We throw the baby out with the bathwater and start all over again when it doesn't work.
The game bathwater. Yeah, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click. Technician.
Vicinity.
I thought you were going to say vasectomy.
It's a VR game where you play.
just got to cut the right cable, baby. The red one, not the yellow one, or it'll explode. Vicinity technician. Is this something to do with like proximity sensors and setting them up, or like cameras, like closed circuit cameras, maybe?
Yeah, I think this is set in the cutthroat world of basically the security cameras and that sort of stuff. So,
right, like selling them, or like installing
not selling
them,
but installing them. And literally, it's a couch co-op in which you're trying to install your cameras to get the most coverage.
Okay.
And trying to basically win the contract.
I do like this idea of coverage because that brings in a lot of cool stuff around line of sight and like the level design where, you've got a limited number of cameras and you're trying to set them up in a way that basically covers the largest percentage of the play area.
Yeah. And then, of course, you can totally fuck with it.
That's it. And then you
else
but it adds that extra thing. It's got that 2-layer thing where you can mess with other people's cameras, but you have to do it without being caught on them.
Exactly, because if you're caught doing something, then that's not a good thing.
Yeah, well, then they've got footage of you and they can take you to court.
I do like the idea of the line of sight, though, because you can just move that partition wall. Oh, look, it now covers them up.
Yeah, well, that's it. Being able to move stuff and alter the environment in some way. The main thing is we have to limit their ability to do certain things. So I feel like when you start, you've got, maybe 3 cameras. Mm-hmm. And I guess is a level just based on, like, is it the interior of a house, the exterior of a house, both?
So to make this more procedural, I'm thinking this multi-billionaire or whatever it is that wants to get these cameras installed has basically got an underground cave system behind his house that he's renovating and wanting to basically put cameras in. So you can sort of do procedural based levels. So that you can come in and have basically a new level set out every single time that you load up the game.
But it's like a different, it's a different section of this guy's underground bunker.
Yeah. Cave design, basically saying that this is the entryway. I need you to cover as much as you can.
Yeah. I wonder if we also add in, because I like the idea, I feel like there are particular areas or items that you get bonus points for covering.
Yeah, so
something valuable, or
you got a crown in a display case that if you're covering, getting a massive amount of coverage on that, as well as covering a lot of area, you're going to get some extra points.
So what happened? Can you just not put a camera down that overlaps the coverage of another camera?
I think you can put cameras down that overlap. Okay, but the real
maybe get less points if you both are covering.
If you've got a really good amount of coverage. Obviously, we've got rules as to you can't have cameras right next to each other.
Yeah,
but you can have opposing coverage,
proximity,
and all that sort of stuff. But then it comes into the idea that okay, I've got this other sort of statue that I can now move and cover up that.
I think you can do things.
Frame and
Actually, I think you can have opposing coverage in that, like, you could have one camera covering another camera to make it really hard for the other player to mess with that. But, like, you have to use up a camera to do that. And I think you also have tools like an EMP or something that can temporarily shut down all cameras within a zone. Or, like, if you throw it right or whatever, that still gives them the ability to maybe be able to come in and screw with at least one of those cameras. Yeah. So, again, it's sort of just making the best use of the resources, of your limited resources. Because maybe you want to work really hard to be the camera where I guess maybe a time limit or something in the level, and it's like whatever cameras are left at the end, or is it you get points? Maybe it's like you get points based on the coverage, like ticking over.
You know what I think could add like a kind of cool wrinkle as well? Each character that plays the game is given like an object that they have to try and sneak out.
Oh, they have to steal it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that idea. Maybe as a separate game mode, because
maybe you got a single traitor. I'm picturing this almost like a you know how we were talking about using that mobile phone controller mode for
yes
at what's it called, Global Game Jam.
Yeah,
we were talking about using it. I have a feeling that would be a perfect idea to actually use that sort of controller system on this, because then you can show up on that one controller. Here is, you're a traitor. You've got to try and steal this, and everyone else is just trying to cover everything.
Yeah, I could see that working. I'd be wary of complicating the main game mode too much. Because I guess I'm trying to figure out then if they're the traitor, are they still putting down cameras and stuff, and they're just also trying to like?
I think they're putting down dummy cameras.
Right. Yeah, that could add an interesting wrinkle. Again, I think it'd have to be a different game mode, because I'm thinking the pure game mode is very much around this coverage idea.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm liking the idea of basically as soon as you get a camera down, it's getting you points based on that coverage, and like, just regular floor and wall is 1 point per second or whatever, but then you get the bonus points for getting coverage on the valuable things. And so yeah, it's really up to the players to then they're running towards a particular thing to try to get the coverage on it, but if they both get a camera down, like they're getting half points, or maybe they get no points. Maybe you get no points if that thing is covered by two cameras from different.
Yeah. So I think what you can actually have at the start of each round, basically we have the system sort of show the ideal pieces of the collection that you're sort of dealing with this time. And it sort of does like an overview of the cave system in this particular thing. So you can make a plan at the start. Okay, I'm going to beeline for this because I think everyone else is going to beeline for this. And I think this is even though it's only a secondary, if I can get my camera on top of this, I can get the points.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think you've got like one main one and then 2 or 3 secondary slightly less valuable, but still more valuable than just walls. Yeah.
And then I think you can do like some simple programming for it, basically saying that you want it to move in this sort of arc and sort of put a start and end point that you want the arc to go.
I think you can have it just pointing in one position, but that
it costs a little bit more.
Well, and it leaves it. Well, no, I don't think it costs more, but it's just it leaves it more open to sabotage then, right? Like you could say, okay, I'm just going to point it directly at this thing and it's going to be constantly racking up points, but it's going to be really easy then for someone to come up and sabotage that without being seen by it. Whereas if you put it on an arc, it's like, okay, it's only going to be getting points on that thing like 75% of the time, but it's going to be moving, and so it's going to be a bit harder for people to sabotage.
And it's also covering that hallway that someone can come down.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's sort of creating that barrier. The main difficulty with this, because I'm picturing it as couch competitive, is it'd actually work better in some ways with hidden information. Not just like on your phone, whether you're a trader or not, but like actually only being able to see what your cameras can see or not being able to see where the other person's cameras are, that sort of thing. But I think you could make it work on one screen still.
And that's where the Wii U gamepad would be really, really good right about now.
Well,
you have this
that's only
beautiful
one
screen right in front of you.
Right?
Yeah, but if you had 4 of them and you know the game actually supported it,
yeah, well,
you could have all this
in that
secret information.
Then it's just network switches or something, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Or it's just in the middle of your phone controller, you literally see you've got your 3 camera views that you can basically look at.
Okay, that's interesting. So the other people don't necessarily see the actual arcs and coverage themselves.
All they see is,
they can see the camera, but they don't they really have to watch it, and they don't know exactly when they're in its field of vision.
Yeah, but I think you can have like a little security outlet that you can sort of plug into that can give you maybe a small little override to see what's happening in that one room.
Yeah, that could be cool. I think it'd be hard to keep that because it wouldn't be real time, obviously. You'd have to sort of send down quick little screen grabs, but that's a cool idea. And particularly if the camera catches someone, then like your phone beeps and you get the picture of them and you're like, oh shit, someone's coming after that camera. Or that thing, like, run to that part of the level. I mean, I guess, again, it's hard to know if you're doing this on a single screen. Maybe this just needs to be a multiplayer, like, maybe this can't be couch. Maybe this just needs to be multiplayer. Maybe like a Project Winter sort of. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, I think still top-down works, and then you can see your own, like, vision cones for your, and coverage for your cameras. But you can't see others, but then you can get, like, because that gives you the ability then to
you can get power-ups and shit.
Yeah, that gives you the ability to have power-ups. So it's like, okay, I can fire off a thing which lets me see the vision codes for other people's cameras for a certain amount of time, and that'll help me be able to sneak through and disable their camera or something. I think that would solve a lot of problems, actually, making it just only a multiplayer thing where everyone's on their own computer.
Yeah.
Or Switch.
Goddamn,
I guess,
I want to play this game.
That's really fucking cool. Like, yeah, I think there's so much potential there for being able to, you could make a real simple version where it's all about just place your camera coverage and you've got some ways to sabotage, but you could really like pump that up with a lot of options and different settings and power-ups, and yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
Love it. Love it. Throw it away. Buy bathwater. 3, 2, 1, click.
Allowance.
Colt.
Ooh. Colt and allowance.
So it's either a horse or a gun. Or just a dude named Colt.
Wait, I thought you said cult as in C-U-L-T.
Oh, no. C-O-L-T. Colt.
Oh, see, I kind of like cult because I was thinking, it's a cult, but in this case, you've been given allowance to sort of almost do a Rumspringa sort of thing, but it's from like this death cult.
It's a cult. It's either a young male horse or a fucking handgun.
Or a guy called Colt.
Or a douchebag called Colt who comes from money.
But he's in a cult that gives him allowance.
He's in a cult for guys named Colt. Who ride colts down cul-de-sacs. Wearing coats.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That was a good run.
Yeah, okay. So, allowance.
Yes.
All right, I'm trying to think if you're being given an allowance to buy horses or guns.
If it's in Texas at the moment. If it's in Texas at the moment where buying guns is deemed essential travel.
Oh, yeah, essential services, for sure. Cult allowance. Do you play the horse? Is this the horse going on an adventure where they're having an allowance away from their cult-like family? What would a cult be like?
Oh shit! I'm just a lot of things are running through my head right now, and it's basically, it's sort of like a cult of all these young male horses that like their Rumspringa is going out and trying to find all the,
and it's like a satirical take
fillies.
on yes, exactly. It's a satirical take on like pickup artists and how horrible they are, and like toxic masculinity, but they're out going on a willy-nilly hilly-filly manilly, I don't know.
Willy-nilly filly hunt.
Yeah. But they're all horses. Are they like anthropomorphic, or is it like you trot up to the filly and
mount?
Oh God! Not if we're making them anything like anthropomorphic, because that's really wrong.
Okay,
no, are they
so
is it like a? Do you have to pick them up? Do you have to have a conversation with them?
You have to have a conversation with
horse pun.
With no, it's an all horse puns.
Well, horse pun pickup lines.
Why the long face?
That's only when you get to the start. Until you succeed with that one, you don't get any more.
Oh, shit.
I mean, technically, if we are taking the whole pickup artist thing, you're negging them, possibly. Although, no, actually, maybe for horses, a long face might be sexy, so the longer the face, the better.
Oh, shit. That shouldn't be as funny as what it actually was for me.
That was funny. No, that was good. That was funny.
I don't think I can top it. 3 to 1 click.
Northeasterly.
Nominating. I mean, what came to my head first off was like a Big Brother sort of situation in which you're having to nominate someone.
Right. Or like a Survivor type, like some sort of reality TV sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, northeasterly makes me think of wind. It doesn't necessarily have to be wind based. It can just be direction based. But for some reason, I feel like, there's a northeasterly coming in or whatever. But I'm not sure how that relates to nominated.
I do kind of like the idea of you're on this island, basically as part of like a Survivor-esque.
Yeah, like game show, basically, reality.
Game
TV.
show sort of thing, where it all starts out relatively, safe and normal and all this sort of stuff. Everyone's sort of nominating and doing all that sort of stuff. It's sort of like an adventure gamey sort of thing where you're sort of learning about some of the relationships that are going on and all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
And then one night, sort of like there's a bit of a storm coming, a bit of a nor'easter.
Yep. Nor'easterly, yep.
You get to the position the next day where you expect, the producer to turn up and tell you what the game's about and all that sort of stuff. And they never turn up.
Okay.
So then, you can start sort of going through and seeing whether this is actually still part of the game show or whether this is something else that's actually happened.
I like the idea that, you go through at least 2 or 3 rounds of like nominating someone, kicking them off the island. You start with maybe like 10 people.
Yep.
And you end up with like 6 or 7 left. Obviously, you don't want to drag that beginning part out too much, but it gives you a sense of how you can wander around the island and different activities and stuff. And then, this big storm happens. You wake up, but I like the idea that you run into situations where you're still having to nominate one person who's not going to survive the situation.
Yep.
And so as you go through and start to realize, oh no, like shit's hit the fan, like we're on our own, your numbers are still like diminishing.
Yeah. It's kind of like and then there were none sort of situation of, it's a murder mystery without the murder as such. Like it's effectively people being voted off the island, until you get to a certain point, and then you start wondering, where are these cameras? Like,
yeah,
I haven't actually seen the cameras since we've been here, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I like the idea that even before the storm, things sort of like the first day the producer's very involved, but then they show up less, and like there are some hints that like, oh, we're just gonna leave you to your own devices, but we're filming the whole thing, we're gonna edit it all together, so that it is ambiguous. Yeah,
you see the cameraman, and he's sort of pointing the camera just off in some random direction, and then when you sort of lock eyes with him, then he sort of moves it back over to you, as if like he's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be filming, and he just moves it back. Like the idea that, there's clues that there's something really not right about this whole thing.
Well,
that could be really
past
cool.
the storm, do you still see the camera people?
I think you find one of them and they've been like impaled on something, and you have a look at the camera, and it's basically just a plastic shell. There's nothing actually inside.
Oh, so they were never filming it?
Yeah, basically this is something else entirely, and I'm sort of almost on like a cabin in the woods sort of idea that these are sacrifices that that are being sacrificed to the island god.
I definitely like the idea of through the whole game, it's really ambiguous as to whether this is all part of the game or not.
Yep.
And that you really don't find that out until you get to the end.
Yeah. Sort of midway through the third act, even, you've sort of got. That's where you find out that all the cameras were just plastic shells. Like,
well, I think yes, the cameras. Well, I mean, you can find that out reasonably early, but then I feel like that it hints that but that was all part of the game, and that they are still filming you. It's just from hidden cameras. And they were just like a decoy. They were decoy cameras. So, like, you're still not sure whether...
do you actually find, like, a security... like, the security sort of tent
or something?
And that has, like, a whole heap of cameras across the island.
Oh, I do like the idea that
there's some that are blacked out.
Yeah, I do like... Yes, I like that idea. Eventually you find, like, the production tent... And based on, like, the views of the island that you can see, you can tell where those cameras are. And there may even be, like, a puzzle where you have to go and find a particular camera based on the view you can see.
Oh, yeah. I like the idea that you see someone who's already supposedly left the island, got nominated out, burying something underneath a tree that you can see in the camera footage. Yep. And so that you're now going to go find that. Yeah. Find that.
And then you get there
tree.
And that thing was, nothing's what it seems, they're going to kill me or something. Like it even further makes it more, makes you more unsure. Just basically this just complete psychological mindfuck the whole time.
Yeah. I'm sort of thinking almost along a Tropic Thunder sort of view that, if you remember that, where, the production crew sort of died early on, but they still thought they were being filmed from hidden cameras and all this sort of stuff.
But I think in this case, we definitely, like, give clues that, maybe you are. Or maybe shit did hit the fan, like, and all the production crew's dead. Like, nobody's quite sure.
Yeah, I kind of like the production sense, that the production tent is, like, covered in blood and all this sort of stuff, but then, this other tent is like pristine and has had nothing wrong with it. So it's sort of like, is this just a mind fuck? Is this
like you find one, you find one bloody, mess where it looks like people have all been killed, but somehow you figure out that it's fake blood and just like corn syrup.
Yeah.
But then later on, you get to the production tent, it's covered in blood. You're like, whatever. But then, you somehow figure out it's real blood. It's like, okay, so is it or not? Yeah.
I think one of the typical things that they have in these sort of things is like a diary room.
Like the confessional,
I like the idea of the diary room actually has like a hidden trapdoor that becomes like a pretty big thing where you're going down into these old like mining tunnels and that sort of stuff.
Right. So so are we going to decide right now, is this all part of some overall plan? Do you think, is it this sacrifice thing or did shit actually hit the fan and it was just a reality TV show and then did they discover something else that was unrelated to the reality TV show, or was it literally just a storm came through and killed a bunch of people and you got stranded there? Like, which direction do we go?
I do like the idea of a supernatural sort of thing going on, some sort of sacrificey thing.
I guess it's whether do we do and not quite as wholesome as this, but do we do a Gone Home where you build up this whole idea that it is this supernatural thing and then just oh no, that was just in your head. And you were reading too much into things based on sort of the mood and the tension. And you find, and it's just, no, it was just things got fucked. We couldn't get a helicopter through to save you. And now we're finally here and you're saved. There was nothing, there was nothing going on, but just leading the player on that whole time. I don't know. Look,
it's a hard line, isn't it?
It is hard.
Maybe we leave it here.
I think we do, because we leave it at that potential. It could go either way. You could really have some really good endings in both directions. And we say, can you figure it out? This is our Inception style. Did the top fall over? For the listeners
this is
at
our
home.
fuck you for the listeners at home.
Yeah, exactly.
We couldn't figure it out. You do it.
Oh, okay. This could go in a few different directions, particularly based on the was it last week or the week before? Anyway, sleeper.
Worst
sleeper. All right. So I was going to try to steer it away from any sort of sleeper agent thing because we did a couple of games.
Yeah, I know that.
but also I love the idea of the worst sleeper agent who's just fucking bumbling he's
he keeps on dropping into his
Gadget style
into his Russian into the Russian accent.
Into Russian. the amnesia or whatever didn't quite take the hypnosis or whatever they do to sort of bury it below the surface. He keeps on
calling people comrade.
Yeah, he's in the military. He's managed to get up to fucking lieutenant or something. And then it starts slipping.
Or it's a game about the worst insomnia, basically. If you're the worst sleeper, then you've got a lot of insomnia.
That's true. Oh, okay. Keeping down the sort of psychological thing, I kind of love the idea of a game where each scene starts with you waking up at an ungodly hour of the night.
Yep.
The whole game is set between the hours of 3 a.m. and 5:30 a.m.
Yep.
Across multiple nights. And just sort of exploring the interesting psychological things that come from insomnia.
Okay, so it's a VR game.
Yeah.
Because I love darkness in VR.
I love the idea of the screen comes up and you look to your left and you can see the LED or the LCD display of your alarm clock and it's 3:57. You're like, fuck.
So I'm picturing that you're the only occupant of this small house in suburbia.
Yeah.
And I think there's some sensor lights outside.
Ooh, yep.
And so the idea that you get woken up and you look outside and the sensor light is on and then goes off. And then a couple of seconds later it comes back on, sort of thing. There's something moving out there, setting off the sensor light. And that's sort of what's almost waking you up.
I think doing some cool stuff with the sensor light, definitely. Like we often do, though, I want to start it off relatively mundane, where, you wake up and
you go to the fridge.
Well, and maybe it's that you literally just have to kill time until the sun comes up or something, or until like your fucking tiredness level, or I don't know, or like you can decide to try to go back to sleep at different times, and you'll either pass or fail based on various actions you've taken. You know, if you've woken up because you've had a weird dream, like you need to do something to take your mind off it before, going back to sleep will succeed. But the day automatically ends at like sunrise once the sun comes up enough. Once you start hearing birds chirping outside, it's like, oh, fuck, I guess I'm just up now. So this comes from someone who has suffered a lot from insomnia over the years. Not so much since I had the twins and sleep became far more valuable, but there were many, many nights where I woke up at like 2 a.m. and just thought, fuck it, like I cannot sleep, and just like worked from like until like 6:30 in the morning, and then went to bed and slept till noon, because that's just what my body was making me do. So that it's a very interesting, visceral, nostalgic feeling of being up from the middle hours of the night until sunrise, and capturing that in VR would be really cool.
Yeah.
But yes, I think then after doing this a few times, you start bringing in things like, oh, that sensor light came on. And then the player has to make the choice, like, do I open the door and fucking go out and see what that is? Or do I ignore it? Like, and that's something that when you're up in the middle of the night, like, what do you do? Do you assume it's nothing?
One of the things that creeps me out in the middle of the night is where you hear the house settling just a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, God, you could do some awesome sound design.
And it sort of sounds a little bit like someone walking down the hallway, but not quite. Just enough to sort of sound.
I'm not a sound designer, but I feel like this would be such a fun project, because sounds at that time of night, I feel like, I don't know whether this is actually the case or whether it's a psychological thing, but they feel like they have a different feel to them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like even turning on some music or something is weird to do at 4:30 in the morning. It feels...
I had the situation the other night where I finished playing games with my friend the other day.
Yep.
About 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Thought, okay, time to go to bed. And went and laid down and just couldn't get to sleep.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck. What am I going to do? I'm kind of a bit stuffed. I've got work in the morning. And
yep.
Well, and so this is Sunday night and I'm going, oh shit. So I started reading and then I heard some noises. And because I had my headphones in and I was just,
oh, that's hard too.
Like listening to just some music on low. But I heard like some scratching sounds and all this sort of stuff. And I took the headphones out and then realized that no, it wasn't scratching. It was actually, it was like a leaky faucet or something like that. And it just happened to like mix with some of the sounds in the music just enough to make it sound different to what it actually was.
Well, there are a couple of things there that would be really interesting to see if you could capture in a game like this, particularly in VR. One, that decision, do I get up or do I keep trying to stay asleep?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I feel like if we can add some systems into this where given different attributes about your body, and I don't know how you fucking quantify level of adrenaline and, what's going on in your head and different things. But if you could do that where there's a chance that you'll go back to sleep but also you might want to cut your losses and just fucking get up. Anyway, there's that. But the other thing that you said there where you're listening to headphones, that's really interesting because there is this sense of then you're completely cutting yourself off from all the sounds of the house and different things. But in a situation where you're slightly afraid that someone's out there or something might be happening or whatever, do you put both your headphones in? Maybe you literally give the player the choice to put a single headphone in so they can keep an ear open for things. But, but again, from the system's point of view, that doesn't give them as much calm or whatever as if they put music on with both headphones or something. this would be such a tricky game to make, but I feel like you could really do some really evocative stuff around being awake at that time of night.
I really like the idea of playing around with when I was younger, my eyes started like almost seeing something in the
like in the darkness.
In the darkness.
Yeah.
And what was actually happening in my brain, I think this is what sort of turned me off wanting to visualize. And
okay.
I started thinking about it the other day. Basically, I'd be laying down in bed and I'd see what felt like little strands sort of coalescing in like a massive web around my door. And it just had this sinister feeling that I couldn't close my eyes. I had to keep looking at it.
You know what's really fucking interesting?
What?
That very well could have been the veins in your eyes.
Yeah, probably.
Because have you ever gone to an optometrist where they like take the picture of the inside of your eye, of your retina?
Yeah.
And you get that flash of the veins in your eyes?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's sort of that weird sort of thing. And it probably is exactly that, but it's also, we've talked about how I don't visualize that much. I'm starting to visualize a little bit more. Like I'm still not able to like bring something up, but if I start thinking about a game, I can now start like,
oh, interesting,
somewhat visualizing, but not actually seeing it.
So Bitstorm has helped your brain.
Talking about it has probably more helped my brain. But yeah, I just all of a sudden remembered about 2-3 weeks ago that's probably what actually stopped me from sort of visualizing.
Interesting that it's not an ingrained thing for you, at least. That it's something you almost, if not consciously decided, but like decided to do or to not do. Huh.
But now I think about it, having those little sort of things moving in the darkness that you can't quite see, but you thought that you saw.
Well, definitely playing with light. And I wonder in VR how easy this would be. It might be too obvious. It might be too hard to do it in a subtle enough way. But that if you turn all the lights off, you start getting those little like colored blobs and different things that you do see in the dark. I wonder if you could do that in VR or not. That'd be interesting to play with.
Yeah, I know that Unreal Engine had a really good system to sort of bring the lightness level up as your eyes got adjusted.
Well, that's it too. Yeah. If you could do that kind of
to the darkness,
HDR-ish sort of changing of exposure levels.
Yeah, effectively. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
As your pupils get bigger, and you actually see maybe in the what's it called, you actually see the pupils.
Actually, God, that'd be so cool. Like that
start
you
to dilate just a little bit.
Yeah, or just even the like waking up. And you go over and you hit the light switch, and just for that moment, you just get that like boom, that like blaring white light, and then it sort of slowly fades, so you can actually start seeing, and you get used to it. Like again,
it's just that third time that you do it, and that figure that it appears in the brightness.
Oh God! And then it's gone, and then it's gone when your eyes adjust. Holy shit! That is cool.
Yep, it's a reverse vampire. 3, 2, 1,
3, 2, 1, click. That was cool though. All right, toddler.
Pro
toddler. All right. What is this toddler a professional at? Shitting its pants?
Toddling.
Pro toddling. Is this not even actually is this like you know how, and this isn't to put down people who partake of this sport, but like there's power walking and like professional walkers. Is there like professional toddlers? But it's adults doing it. It's just it's a particular way of like walking or moving your body. And then you're racing people while doing that. Like how in pro walking you have to have both feet on the ground at the same time.
Mm-hmm. This
is like you need to have both feet and hands on the ground. I don't know. Like, well, that's not toddling, then that's crawling, but I don't know what it would be.
a pro toddler is like really good at being a picky eater, misbehaving,
laughing at stupid things.
It just sounds like us.
That's true, actually. A wee pro toddlers. This is a game where you start a game design podcast. All right. Last one, I think, before our final click picture. 3, 2, 1, click. Dusk.
Knock.
Ooh. This is almost similar to that fucking Insomnia game, except it's around the end of the evening instead of night. Like, I'm just picturing someone knocking at dusk, you know. There's something ominous about that.
Yeah, there's something about, like, just as you know, you're sort of finishing dinner up and someone knocks at the door.
Yeah, it's such an unexpected time for someone to show up if you're not expecting them.
Exactly. I like Suburbia again. I think Suburbia is almost like the perfect timing. And the first knock is just someone, like, going around.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, talking about, who's your energy provider? And you're like, oh, fuck off. You just close the door.
In the middle of dinner. Yep.
This time, like,
they're getting more obnoxious. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it starts off, you know, kind of like that. Kind of like someone's just knocking at the door and then you go to sit back down.
Yeah. And then someone knocks again.
Then there's a knock at the front door again. And there's someone else, it's one of your neighbors asking, oh, did that guy come to you as well? Yeah, he's been he hasn't gone to any other house in the area. He's just come to yours. Like, and he's out there sitting in his car right now.
Right.
And,
all right.
You know,
so you're just ramping up
like a little bit
the unease.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this VR again?
I think it's got to be, because there's nothing better than like a spooky sort of.
It's true. The thing about VR is that because of the immersion level, for any sort of like building up of tension or horror, like you kind of can't go past it.
So the first time you open up the door, you've got the screen door there, and you can see through the screen door. You can see the person standing there, and you can see that the door is locked and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The next time you open it, it's still all locked. So you've got that sort of safety net there.
Yeah.
One of the times later on that you open it, that screen door is now open, or is slightly torn, or something.
Or
like
I like the third time you open the door. The third knock, you go and open the door and nobody's there, but that screen door is open.
Yeah. Sort of saying this isn't your safety net.
Yeah. And previously, you would have had to have made some reference to, or like had a, you know, lock your screen door prompt or something, like, so that the player knows that screen door was locked from the inside. So
I like then that no one's at that front door, but then you hear the knocking from the back door.
Oh, God. Is there anyone else in the house with you this time? I feel like this one maybe would be better if you were there, like, with a family of some sort.
Yeah, I think this is your family. You've got your
like your spouse and
2 kids, sort of thing.
Sure.
Maybe like randomly generated kids.
Randomly generated kids. Why not? Why not?
This time you got the ginger.
Ah, God damn it! Are you kidding me? Useless. Refresh. Reroll my kids. Oh yes, natural 20.
I kind of like the idea that you get an achievement for this time you got a ginger.
You get an achievement for oops all gingers when everyone in your family. That's really
I kind of like the idea of having these randomized achievements that you know only go off when you happen to get like this specific combination of people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Based on the different features and stuff.
Just then being able to, you know, have to go between the front door, the back door, making sure that, you know, the screen door's sort of locked.
Does this all take place over like one evening?
Yeah, one evening.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't quite know, are you being pranked? Are you you hear sound up in the roof.
Yeah.
You know, has someone snuck into the attic sort of thing.
This is almost a sequel or a precursor to the Insomnia one.
Yeah.
But again, that very tense VR game. But yeah, I like this as a different setting where it's less about the isolation of Insomnia and more about, oh no, like, that someone's knocking. What is going on here? And then also, like, going back, like, trying to go back to normalcy with your family in between each one.
But having to calm down your kids because your wife's having trouble, sort of keeping them calm and keeping them, quiet or anything like that. So, I like the idea of being able to look next door and maybe see some things going on there as well. Like your next door neighbor that came across is now, he's maybe been attacked. And because he came over and sort of got in the way of what they were trying to do.
Well, I think you don't make it that obvious, though.
No.
He's made the light go, you see the light go off or something, or and then your partner comments, that's early for Mr. Rohypnol to go to sleep.
Mr. Rohypnol usually has a nightcap. has a sneaky drink before going to bed. Oh, jeez.
Right before going to bed. Like, immediately. It's weird. Has a drink, falls right to sleep.
Sometimes on his porch.
I think that's just like a red herring, though. Is, you start suspecting Mr. Rohypnol and next door neighbor. It's like, no, it's just his name. I don't know where that came from.
His parents or his dad actually, developed Rohypnol as a sleeping agent.
Yeah, because
he had insomnia.
Rohypnol came from someone's surname. But yeah, okay, in this world.
No, his dad realized what a cool invention he had and changed the family name to Rohypnol.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to see where the name Rohypnol came from, but I can't find it. I couldn't find it fast enough. Yeah, no, I like that. And that different sort of tension where you've got your family there and, you're trying to either calm them down or they're working you out, like you come out and the kids are starting to freak out or your spouse is starting to freak out or whatever else. And again, you could, particularly if you make this, well, I don't know how systems-based you could make it and like replayable. I guess it could be replayable. I guess it depends. What are your outcomes? Is this almost a roguelike of it's like survive through the night? And that happens different ways each time? Or is this a story-based thing where...
Well, I think you can have maybe some branching sort of things depending on where you take the kids sort of thing. Like if you hunker up in the bedroom, well, there's a brick that comes through the bedroom window sort of thing. And, it really freaks you out.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I guess you could have some branching paths that could make it replayable.
Yeah, and just... I think there's got to be a way that you can actually lose the game.
Yeah, and it's probably pretty, violent.
You really shouldn't have answered the door that 15th time.
I totally pictured that as one of those end screens from the early Space Quest games. You shouldn't have answered that. Like it's got a little animation there of you getting shot in the face. Reload, restart, cancel, or quit, or whatever. All right, let's do our final click picture. We've run over a bit, but we got to fit it in.
I don't.
3, 2, 1, enter. Okay. We have a woman with a gun in a suit, looking very pleased about the fact that she's about to shoot the goldfish at point blank range that she's holding in her other hand.
It's like, okay, I've got you now this time, you little fucker.
Well, it's not even that, because there's not even any malice in her face. She's having fun. She's really enjoying this in a jolly way. Also, that fish is 100%. That fish is 100% photoshopped on. What was that?
She's an assassin, and she's killing the house pets.
Well, also, and I'm not 100% on guns, but I'm pretty sure that gun is out of bullets. The slide is back over the barrel, right? Doesn't that happen when you're empty?
I don't know. I don't know at all. I don't know enough about guns.
Is this a shooting fish in a barrel game?
I think it's as I kind of hinted at.
Yeah.
This is a Hitman game, but
you're killing house pets.
You're killing their prized possession sort of thing.
Okay.
You know, in different sort of situations, you're trying to get them to pay their money to the guy that, you know, has put out the contract.
Well, I mean, I do kind of like the idea of literally just pet hitman, like pet assassin. And the early missions are just like fucking goldfish and stuff, although they're surprisingly slippery. But you've got like multiple ways in each level that you can kill this fucking goldfish. Like, you can knock the fishbowl off a thing, but you have to, you obviously have to make sure to do it without being seen by the family. And then later levels, you get like cats and dogs and horses and. I mean, I'm not for animal cruelty and killing innocent animals, but I mean, is it that much worse than killing innocent humans? I don't know.
I'm going to go with yes, it is. 3, 2, 1, enter again.
All right.
I will keep that in there, but
all right.
I want something better to finish.
Okay. Here we go. Here it comes. Oh no, what is going on? I don't know how we're going to make a game out of this, but this is a photo.
I may have just pissed my wife off because I just laughed so fucking
I thought
loud.
you said you pissed yourself. That might have happened to me. Okay. To describe this, because I'm sure the audience is wondering what the fuck we're laughing at. We have an alley. To bury the lead, we have an alley with a dumpster in it, overflowing with trash.
Overflowing dumpster. Yep.
We have an astronaut, or at least someone in an astronaut costume, holding something. Can't quite. Oh, holding a fucking Arabian-style lamp, which they have apparently rubbed, because out has come a genie in very stereotypical, like, big...
I Dream of Genie.
I Dream of Genie style, big puffy pants, the hat, the, like, crop top sort of thing. Oh, and also they're a fucking horse. The pointy-toed, like 4 pointy-toed shoes. Who took this photo and what? Like, has anyone ever bought this stock photo to use in an article or, like, on their website?
This is one of the best photos I've ever seen.
I want to zoom in on the shiny fucking visor of this astronaut so I can see the photographer and figure out what is wrong with them. All right.
Okay, I'm opening up original. I'm going to zoom in.
That's what I'm doing. I'm literally just doing that. I'm having to say
the horse is literally there because I can see them in the reflection.
Oh yeah, no, this isn't photoshopped. I know well enough that I can see that.
Oh god, this is one of the best photos I've ever seen. Okay, so the game.
Is it just horse genie? Like, are you the horse? Do you play the horse genie?
No, I think this is the game where you play the astronaut. This is literally an alternate universe where I Dream of Genie happened to be a horse.
Oh wait, because he was he an astronaut or a pilot?
He was an astronaut.
Oh, all right. This makes this a little bit clearer. Doesn't really explain why Genie is a horse. That's
in
still
this case,
weird. In this
genies
case.
were always horses. They're anthropomorphic horses. This is basically the genie version of Mr. Ed.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the cross between two sitcoms, I Dream of Genie and Mr. Ed. All right, but has this astronaut, because the astronaut's in the full spacesuit, has this astronaut just found this lamp in space and wished themselves back to Earth?
Found themselves in space and wished themselves back to Earth. They were floating in space. They crashed on an asteroid, and then when they exited out onto the asteroid, they found the lamp there, actually out there on the asteroid. They picked it up, they rubbed it,
right,
and out popped the horse genie,
who'd promptly
wished themselves back to Australia. Wished themselves back to back alleys of Melbourne.
Yeah, looks like it. Okay, so this is obviously sort of a narrative-based situation. Does this kick off then, like,
he's got
wacky,
2 more wishes?
Yeah, okay, like a wacky...
Because unlike I Dream of Genie, where he got unlimited wishes, which is just
basically
shitty, Horse Genie only basically says to him, "You've got 2 wishes left."
Well, no, he doesn't say
good.
that. He says, "You've got wishes left." Does the horse talk, or does it just keep tapping the number of wishes left with 1 foot?
Talks, but it can only count
count, except for
2 knocks.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of like the idea that you can't actually take this like spacesuit off because you got no other clothes.
That's the issue. Okay. Can you take
no
the helmet off at least?
Yeah, I think maybe you can take the helmet off.
Okay.
But I don't know. I kind of like the idea that the horse didn't tell you that it was bringing you to 2020 Melbourne and like you're supposed to actually be in isolation. And so therefore the spacesuit is one of the best ways of being in isolation.
So nobody even questions it because they're just like, oh yeah, COVID.
Yeah.
Good call on the spacesuit. I kind of like the idea of and this is tricky because we said 3 wishes, but I was saying I kind of like the idea of literally the only decisions you make in this game are what wish to make. And you progress through the game by either making a wish or making no wish. And it branches that way. and it's possible, though it may be possible that that some wishes might lead to getting more wishes somehow. So that we can keep this game on going longer than just 3 wishes.
Okay, so do we actually go with the rules of like until you are fulfilled, until all your wildest dreams are fulfilled, sort of thing, or your ultimate wish is fulfilled? Well, you have wishes until that moment.
Maybe, but
basically.
I do kind of like that tension of literally just a narrative branching game. Like where the only interaction you have are dialogue choices, whether it's a wish or not, and you've literally got like a very small number of wishes, because deciding to make the wish is really important then, right?
Yep.
And you don't know how it's going to affect the rest of the game. Of course,
what I find funny is the fact that when you asked to go back to Earth, you didn't say when to the horse. And so, you're actually from 1969.
Right. Okay. And you play Buzz Aldrin.
Either Buzz Aldrin or who was the one in the
one who didn't get to get off?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I think he got off, but,
Sure.
I mean, what else was he going to do? He's all alone in the space.
I'm sure he got off. He's a moon fetish. I don't know. Anyway. That's fine. Yeah, you're that guy. You've left Buzz and Neil stranded because you teleported out of the fucking lunar module back to Earth with a horse.
Well, I think what actually happened is there was a slight accident on the moon's surface, and you had to actually take off again and do a loop around the moon.
Right. We have too much fuel.
And that's when you actually either crash on the opposite side of the moon, or you basically find the horse,
of course,
thing. The lunar module is completely dead, and you're running out of oxygen quick. So you wish yourself back to Earth,
right? And
that's where sort of you end up in this.
That's where the game starts off. And I think you've got 3 wishes from then. The horse has 4 legs, so for some reason that's how it decides to give you 4 wishes, and you've used 1. And then you just go through a series of interesting dialogues with different people where it will give you a choice to either make a wish or not. Well, maybe it's not quite that rigid. But I think in literally every dialogue list of options, you've got the choice to make a wish. Sometimes you can just respond.
I kind of like the idea that if you make a wish that doesn't specifically affect you,
it doesn't count.
It doesn't actually count against your wishes.
Oh, maybe it's about manipulating other people into saying "I wish," and then that doesn't count towards yours. It's only if you say "I wish," but the genie, if they hear it, still has to honor it.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. I think that there's something interesting there. We're gonna end it there.
That is still one of the funniest photos I've ever seen.
If you want to find us online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Leave us a review, especially for this episode. If we get 5 reviews on this episode, we'll release the image. We'll tweet the image out. No, we'll probably do that anyway. But no, go there, leave us a review. Let us know what you thought. We love hearing feedback from our listeners. We are also part of the 8-Bit Collective, and that is a group of like-minded podcasters around pop culture, video games, television, which comes under the umbrella of pop culture, all sorts of things. So go to 8bit.net, check out all the other great shows there.
If you like video games and podcasts, then those two come together in the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook and search for AGP Network on Twitter. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuridos for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And a horse is a genie, of course. If ever there was a genie who was a horse.